We're still live at the conference here where we're really looking at the role of technology in electoral process. I'm now being joined by Mr. Fabio Bargiacchi, Executive Director, the European Center for Electoral Support, I beg to say, ECES as they're easily known. Mr. Fabio, thanks for joining in.
Thank you.
So much being said about the electoral process around the world. Some countries, some continents have had a very stable process. Africa is finding its feet in the electoral process. Why do we have this conference right now where we are sharing ideas and lessons and how to move forward using technology?
No, thank you. Thank you for having the opportunity to illustrate why we have decided to organize this conference together with the Independent National Electoral Commission of Nigeria and the network of electoral management bodies of the Ecowas and the SADC. So therefore the West Africa and the Southern Africa, where in the last decades there have been quite a number of electoral processes that saw an increased use and introduction of new information technology for different steps of electoral processes, like the limitation of boundaries, geolocalization via satellite of polling stations, transmission of results, biometric voter registration, identification of voters in polling station, like is happening also here in Nigeria. So therefore we felt that many countries of these two regions are going to elections toward 2019, including Nigeria. So therefore we have felt the need to regroup all together and let's say discuss the lesson learned of what went well and what went less well in using and introducing this technology. Because technology means potentially, and underline potentially, increase of transparency, increase of trust, increase of confidence in the process, but if ill managed can be exactly the contrary, so absolutely lack of trust in the process, and then at the end non-acceptance of the result on the accusation of the losers that the process has been manipulated via technological means that are elitist and therefore rather difficult to understand also from political parties and candidates. So this kind of initiative, I think, contribute to the general knowledge that we can gather together when it comes to exchange of peers and peer exchange, let's say. So therefore, at the end of the conference, we hope rather rapidly to put together both video tutorial and as well proceedings to collect all the incredible wealth of experience and expertise that is sitting on that room, because we do have the president or chief electoral officers of 30 plus countries, and also the respective director of ICT department for each electoral commission that is participating.
Yes. So you also mentioned that during the course of the conference that ECES is working in about 35 countries, and you also quickly mentioned the fact that with each country comes different challenge, almost a type of technology they would have to adopt that works for them. You also did mention about the legal framework. I mean, completing this process, it almost looks like any technology that works for any country needs to be almost designed exclusively for that country. What's your experience in gathering how each of the different countries have received the idea of what technology works for them? Because I can imagine the expenses that comes with that.
Absolutely, you're totally right. The increase of cost is exponential when electoral management bodies decide to adopt a new technology, to introduce a new technology in one step of an electoral process, the most expensive being voter registration, of course, and transmission of result, and also the most delicate and most contested. Yes. So therefore, when choosing one technology, one electoral management bodies and one government as well has to carefully thinking on what this technology is going to bring when it comes to transparency and credibility of the electoral management body, because at the end of the day, any technology that it is introduced in any electoral process can bring transparency and confidence and credibility in a process only, and I underline, only if the electoral management bodies enjoy the trust of the public opinion and especially of the political parties and candidates, because if it is not the case, whatever technology you want to introduce is going to be considered different. Then bring in transparency and credibility. So therefore you have several options that we are suggesting here to the different electoral management bodies that come and stem directly from our own direct experience, as you said, in 35 countries nowadays, where we are advising electoral management bodies to carry out throughout deep feasibility studies, and actually in plural feasibility studies, because the different experts bring different ideas from behind, especially targeting potentially homegrown solution.
Yes.
Because we have also to avoid the questions of intellectual property right with commercial companies that are selected. Of course, they are doing their business, and therefore, if they have developed a specific solution or a specific software for voter registration, transmission of the result, and so on and so forth, they will tend also to protect this intellectual property right. So in this context, there have been several electoral management bodies in Africa and elsewhere that have tried to develop homegrown solutions, sometimes with the support of the same company that before we are partnering with them in providing off-the-shelf solution. But as you said, there is no blueprint solution that can be used in any countries in Africa and elsewhere, but each country needs a customization, which is very important when it comes to the legal framework, to the cultural context, to the political context, to the economic context, and also to the context where electoral management bodies enjoy more or less confidence or trust from the public opinion, political parties and candidates.
Yes, so you also put up a chart about the electoral process, and you talked about how it's growing and how different components of it. And one question, which I'm sure a lot of people want to know, is at what point do you introduce technology in an electoral process? Some say if it's too close to the election, everybody say, oh yeah, you brought your guy from home to come and tweak the process. If it's too far from the election, everybody like, why do you want to spend money this far away when we're not sure this can produce or deliver close, meaningful results regarding the election? So what would be an ideal time to introduce some level of technology into an election? Because the Nigerian experience even shows that despite the fact that we've gone biometric, people still find it very difficult to accept it because of those moments where it fails one way or the other. So when is the ideal time one could venture into introducing technology into an electoral cycle?
Thank you very much for this question. It's very pertinent. We have indicated during our presentations that if it is newly introduced technology, for instance, let's say on transmission of result, we are suggesting to the different electoral management bodies to consider a minimum time of 12 months in order to conceive and introduce this technology. If it is 18 months, it's even better. However, a lot of technological development nowadays is not from the introduction from scratch of a technology. Here in Nigeria and other countries, you have a system that has been already introduced, like biometric voter registration or identification in polling station of voters that need update and upgrade. That obviously can be done much closer to the election, therefore through testing and mock exercise on trying to see whatever could go wrong in order to make everything possible for making it right. So if it is a new technology from scratch, like some countries have not yet adopted biometric for voter registration, for instance, also in the region, we're definitely suggesting at least 18 months. If it is an upgrade, an update, an harmonization, a customization of something already existing, you have the possibility to employ less time to customize or to update this solution that has already been adopted before.
So let me incline towards current affairs, just slightly towards current affairs now, because when we think about, some say the United States, for example, the elections is one of the most secure elections in the world, but we've seen many news trails that follow through after that. And for those other countries similar to Nigeria who depend on technology, they start to wonder, are we going to walk up to that path where there will be controversies around elections, or there could be that technology that becomes vulnerable? Is there any defense line towards technology being not vulnerable?
That debate is ongoing. It is a very interesting debate, and as I was saying, there is no blueprint solutions. Any country has to adopt the system that is accepted and is trusted by the public opinion, political parties and candidates. Some example, India and Brazil, two of the largest, together with Nigeria, democracies in the world, have adopted electronic voting in polling stations since several decades. They are doing so with a lot of satisfaction of the different electoral stakeholders, and nobody put in question the result of those electoral processes that are completely implemented through electronic voting machines in polling stations. In other countries, Estonia, I think I mentioned during our presentation, you do have the possibility to have legally recognized vote from home via internet, so internet voting, which is something that is technically feasible. As we were saying, the future of electoral technology is here.
Using mobile phones.
It's mobile phones, satellites, the voting from home technically is possible, but what is accepted by electoral management bodies and the public opinion, political parties and candidates. So in this context, it is very important that electoral management bodies, when they made their choice, and governments take into consideration that there are some countries that have gone back to ballot paper on paper, actually, because, for instance, cases like the most famous is Holland, the Netherlands, where for 20 years in a row they have voted through electronic voting machine in polling stations provided by a specific company, the same that India and Brazil were voting. However, yearly, the electoral management bodies in the country was organizing an hacker competition from university to show that the system was not
impenetrable.
Was impenetrable. Unfortunately, a few years back, some of these hackers in that competition demonstrated that the system was actually hackerable. In this context, there have been a lot of discussions within the parliament and the political class in the Netherlands, and last year they have decided to go back to paper trail. So therefore, you don't have any solutions you have that are adaptable to everywhere. And it's true, the United States is very complex, let's say, electoral system where counties are in charge of organizing their elections, so they have, in some cases, you have electronic voting machine, perforating machines. It's very different how it is working, but it's true also that the latest news about Cambridge Analytica, the role of Facebook are very worrisome, and this is going to be discussed in this conference, because obviously there is something that needs to be taken into account by electoral management bodies, government, and all electoral stakeholders, because obviously you have a means of influencing the decisions of voters that sometimes is not so transparent and clear from the voters themselves. So therefore it's something that needs to be addressed.
Thank you so much for having this chat with me. I'm very grateful. Thank you. And we hope to get the best of the conference over the next few days.
Thank you.
Yes.